Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Here on this channel we talk about everything to do with the African diaspora, politics, music, life, love and everything in between. So if you're interested in those topics, then like, share and subscribe, and remember to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I have a video. And at the moment that does seem to be at the weekend, so take it easy, don't worry, I'm always going to be back. Right, so I hope you had a great week and welcome to the weekend. Tomorrow is the Euro final, so I don't know who you guys are backing, but somebody's gotta lose anyway, and somebody's gotta win. So anyway, today I want to talk about divisions, and basically a conversation I had many years ago with somebody, and this person was Kenyan. Boo, not really, I'm joking, right? So anyway, this person was from the continent, and you know, I was born here, so we were having a discussion about racism, and you know, I was alluding to the fact that racism is a major issue, you know, in the UK and so on and so forth. And this person was saying racism is not a problem. Now, this was obviously a black person I was speaking to, and this person said that tribalism is the problem, and I was really adamant at the time, like, tribalism is not the problem, it's racism. Like, you know, that's the issue that we're dealing with. When I look back at that conversation now, and at the time I guess maybe I was a bit not hot-headed, but I didn't really want to, you know, I kind of had my own thoughts on the matter, and I wasn't really open to hearing this other opinion, because I felt the person was like cooning out a little bit. But when I look back at that conversation now, I can recognize that we were both right, because we were both talking from our own lived experience. So had I had grown up in colonial Kenya, for example, or any African country for that matter, tribalism would be the problem, right? More than likely. Here in the West, tribalism isn't the problem per se. I mean, there are always going to be tribes, don't get me wrong. You know, if you look at the system anyway, it is tribal, right? So the whole capitalist system, it's all tribal. The social structures, it's tribes, right? But anyway, that's kind of digressing a little bit. I just want to keep it at a certain point so you really get where I'm coming from. So if you're living in the UK as a black person, yeah, it's not about tribalism, because, you know, a white person isn't interested necessarily in what your tribe is. So, you know, when the police stop, for example, black men at a higher rate than any other man, they're not going to look through the window and see, you know, look to see what tribe this fellow is. Like, oh, is this one you're about? Let him go. Igbo we want. You understand? He's not going to do that. He's just going to see your dark skin, your melanated self, and immediately he's going to conjure up, more often than not, an idea or a perception about who you are and why you may be driving the type of car you're driving, if it's a nice car, or, you know, if it's not a nice car, is your car legit, whatever the case may be, right? There are so many stereotypes, but the issue here is not tribalism. And for most Westerners, they're not going to look at you and wonder what your tribe is, because really they're not interested. You're black and that's it. So we were both talking from our own particular lived experience. And this is going to lead me on to why it's very dangerous. But before I do that, I also want to point out something that, you know, I think we sometimes get wrong when we think about racism. Sometimes when we think about racism, we see it through a lens of, this person doesn't like me because I'm black, or, yeah, basically this person does not like me or does not appreciate me because I'm black. And racism isn't really about, I don't believe racism is coming from a place that this person just has an irrational dislike per se. I personally think that racism is rooted in fear, insecurity and jealousy. And it's like having a friend. So if you've got a friend and your friend is really beautiful or your friend is really handsome, then you might feel, if you're a jealous person, you might feel some kind of way about that. And, you know, if you're a woman, you might not want to go out with your very beautiful friend because you fear that all the attention would go to that person and none to you. So if your self-esteem is quite low, or if you don't work on yourself, then that will have a huge impact on you. And, you know, at some point that friendship will no longer last. So I think that a lot of the problems that we're seeing on the continent now is because a lot of African people do not recognize their own power. They don't really know what they have. And I've thought this for a long time. It's like when the colonizers went to Africa, they could see what there was. They saw the value in it, and they still do, right? And at the end of the day, if somebody sees something in you and it causes them to feel uneasy, then they will resist. They will find a way to resist you and all that you are. So I think instead of looking at, you know, people who are racist and thinking this person is full of it because blah, 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 I kind of think in a way now we can start to look at some of these people and with more pity, with a kind of pity, in the sense that they're obviously dealing with issues around their own self-esteem, right? Their own value, and they obviously see something that makes them feel very insecure. And when you design a system based on insecurity and fear, that system cannot hold forever. And one of the greatest fears that a lot of people have, and some racist people have, is that that system will fall apart and expose what they truly are and what they truly are not. And there is another fear there, that if this system falls apart and these people that we fear so much, you know, have, to coin a phrase, the upper hand, which I think was Enoch Powell said something about that, what will they do to us? How will they treat us? Will they treat us the way we treated them? Will they, you know, begin to, you know, will they hold the best jobs, and will they exclude us from opportunities the way we excluded them? Will they band together and, you know, create a system where we can't really get much of a look in beyond a certain point? Will they create a glass ceiling for us the way we did for them? Will our children be denied the kind of education that they've had so far, whilst their children get the best? Do you understand? There are so many what ifs and so many questions that can never be answered, but will keep that fear, quite frankly, in place until the system crumbles. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you look at the current crisis in Nigeria around ethnicity, it has come to a point now where many people who are Fulani will be quite fearful of any Southerners. So most Northerners who are of Fulani ethnicity, because not everyone in the North is Fulani, they will now be quite fearful about what would happen if the president came from the South, right? So recently the Southern governors had a meeting in Lagos, and they were talking about, you know, quite a number of issues. And one of the points that was raised and discussed, and I'm going to look at this in a minute. So one of the points that was raised was that they believe, these Southern governors, that the next president should come from the South. Now, number one, that is not democratic, because you cannot cherry pick who your president should be, because ultimately in a democratic system, the people vote for the president, right? So how that would even work is beyond me. You can't just say we want a president from the South and he's going to be Yoruba, let's say. Who said so? What if people don't like him or her? What if the people decide, we don't like this person, we're not going to vote? What if they decide, what if in the next election, the people decide to vote for another Fulani or a Northerner? What would happen? Is it that the Southerners would reject it? Will they reject the next president? Would the Southern governors reject that? The next president, if he doesn't come from the South? Now, the bottom line is this, right? Because of so much distrust and hatred now towards the Fulanis now will be very fearful of any Southern president, because now, in the same way that racists in the UK feel, they're going to feel that what would happen to us if they decide that we are somehow like the pariah and they don't like us? Will they treat us, the way we treated them? Will they exclude us from, government positions? Will they give us a look in? What will our standard of living be like? It's just fear, right? And this is why you cannot run a country on fear and expect it to be a strong nation. Now, this is putting Biafra to the side, because obviously Biafra is a different issue in that Biafra had once, they had declared the state of Biafra. Biafra existed before Nigeria was formed, and the Biafran struggle, for the most part, was kind of ignored by Yorubas anyway. And it's only more recently that, the Yorubas have decided to sort of rise up and start to say they want a Yoruba nation now and all sorts of things. Whereas before, they kind of ignored the suffering going on in the southeast for very long. It didn't bother them. It didn't concern them, right? These ethnic divisions, rightly or wrongly, are at the root of so many problems currently, not only in Nigeria, but in particularly in Nigeria, right? Obviously, we know that what ethnic divisions can do. We saw it happen in Rwanda. We've seen it happen in South Sudan. We've seen it happen all over the world. Now, these divisions, I'm not saying that Africa was this peaceful place before the colonizers came and nobody had any issues with each other. They did. But the bottom line is there was still a level of respect for the autonomy of the other. So, you can respect what the culture of the Yoruba, you could respect the culture of the Fulani, and you could respect the culture of the Igbo and the Biafran, or the Biafran, right? And the other ethnic nationalities that exist in that location. The colonizer, because they preferred one over the other economically, that's when, and this happens all the time, that's when crab in a barrel syndrome kicks in, and everyone starts clambering around for the little scraps that they can get, and they don't want to share. The problem is people don't want to share. People don't want to see their brother progress if they're not progressing. People want to hoard everything and not give anything.